Today, very good morning to you. We're going to look at this topic called the power of waiting. Now, nobody likes to wait, right? Nobody likes to wait. Life experience tells us that big miracles and great breakthroughs come only after we wait. Haste may bring immediate reprieve, but often with unwanted side effects. So in the story of Abraham, God made him wait until his body and his ego are dead before granting him the promise or the key to the promise. But first, let us look at how it all began. So now the Lord said to Abraham, "Go forth from your country and from your relatives and from your father's house to the land which I will show you, and I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great. And so you shall be a blessing, and I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse, and in all the families of the earth will be blessed." So God called Abraham as the Bible's first missionary to live among the peoples in the land of Canaan. So in so doing, Abraham may show the people the way of the blessed. So in hopes that one day these people may become a great nation under God. That said, before God sent Abraham out, Abraham had already known God and have experienced much blessings. So before Genesis 12, Abraham already know God and has experienced much blessings from God. But now, God is showing Abraham a higher level of blessedness. In the same way, many of you are already blessed. But God is showing us a higher level of blessedness. And what is this blessedness, or what is this blessing? "And so you shall be a blessing, and in you all the families of the earth will be blessed." So God promised Abraham that he will be a blessing to the world, or the father of God's people, the co-possessor of the heavens and the earth. Well, this may sound irrelevant to many people, because most are fixated on bread and butter issues and on solving their daily problems. But the highest blessing is the calling to be a blessing to humanity and to bring salvation to the world. However, what does Abraham has to offer to the world? Well, Abraham is called to live among the people to show them what a blessed life truly is. So God instructed Abraham, "Arise, walk about the land through its length and breadth, for I will give it to you." Then Abraham moved his tent and came and dwelt among the oaks of Mamre, which are in Hebron, and there he built an altar to the Lord. So God began to exercise this great blessing by living among the peoples in the land. As we know it, everywhere Abraham went, he prospered and he was protected. Thus Abraham stuck to his calling and was not busy in enriching himself by buying their land. For he just wanted to live among the people and serve them. So likewise, my greatest joy is when I see people healed from their sicknesses. My greatest joy is when I see families being reconciled to one another. My greatest joy is when one found the direction for their life. So Abraham's journey in the promised land, you can see on the left side, he traveled to these places: Egypt, Moreh, Hebron, Mamre, and Mount Moriah. So the map illustrates Abraham's journey from Haran to Egypt. At one point, God even used a famine to force Abraham to go down to Egypt. Abraham also saved 5 nations who were about to be destroyed. That said, despite Abraham's blessedness, he does not have a son who can succeed him. There is no one who can continue his mission, his legacy, to be a blessing to the world. In other words, without this son, he will not realize the promise of God. Likewise, for you, as much as you desire to be a blessing to the world, you lack something, a key to help you achieve that. Well, you may be thinking of financial resources. You may be thinking of divine favor or supernatural abilities or children. Not many, not all of us, we do not have all these things. To Abraham, that one thing that he lacked is a son. So one day, Abraham said to the Lord, "O Lord, what will you give me since I am childless, and the heir of my house is Eliezer of Damascus?" And Abraham said, "Since you have given no offspring to me, one born in my house is my heir." Then behold, the word of the Lord came to him, saying, "This man will not be your heir, but one who will come forth from your own body, he shall be your heir." So Abraham waited for many years for a son. Still, he was childless. And he is at the point of giving up, for he had decided to make his servant his heir. But God explicitly said to Abraham that his heir will come from his own body. Therefore, Abraham must continue to wait. It is only through waiting that Abraham can receive the key to become a blessing to the world. So the book of Hebrews said, "For when God made a promise to Abraham, saying, 'I will surely bless you and I will surely multiply you,' in so, having patiently waited, he obtained the promise." So why did God make Abraham wait? That's the question. Or why did God make you wait? It is so that Abraham may learn patience and build the inner foundation, the inner qualities to become the blessing to the world. Abraham knew that a son, Isaac, is the key to realizing the promise for him. What then is the key to realizing God's promise for you? Now, the key is something that is visible. It may be a special ability or a resource, or it could simply be your children or disciples. The key is something that will perpetuate our legacy after we are gone. If we do not know the key to realizing God's promise after we are gone, then we are truly lost. Without the key, we cannot perpetuate our legacy to be a blessing to the world. We are just striving from day to day, solving problems that have no eternal significance. So Jesus taught that we should do all to find the key to entering God's kingdom, or to fulfill the promise to become the father of the nations. So Jesus taught here, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant seeking fine pearls. Upon finding one pearl of great value, he went and sold all that he had and bought it. So the merchant already have many pearls. But he's seeking a certain pearl that holds the key to get what he wants. And he devoted all that he had to finding that pearl and possessing it. Hence, we must seek that key and to possess it at all costs. Now, every person's key is unique and is different. To me, in the past, the key is to be able to converse with God face to face, to interact with the angels, to have special authority and powers. That is then, but now, the key for me is slowly changing. The key is to find disciples, to write devotion articles, and to gather spiritual abilities and the techniques that I'm teaching. I'm always looking for new keys. I'm not looking for many people or much resources, but for the keys. Now back to the story of Abraham. After God spoke to Abraham about his son, God took Abraham outside and said, "Now look toward the heavens and count the stars, if you are able to count them." And he said to him, "So shall your descendants be." Then he believed in the Lord, and he reckoned it to him as righteousness. So now God revealed to Abraham an even greater plan. His descendants will populate not only the earth, but the heavens. In other words, Abraham is father not only to the descendants on earth, but also the civilizations in the universe. Abraham learned something that day. Even when he is still childless, even when problems remained unsolved, God is faithful and is planning even bigger things for him. Indeed, waiting causes Abraham to draw closer to God, to understand God's greater plans and align himself to him. So I waited and waited and waited. And God showed us through a vision the stars and the civilizations in the heavens and his plans for me after rapture. Waiting causes us to seek God's face, to understand his greater plans and align ourselves with him. If Abraham had a son earlier, he would have put his focus on Isaac and his descendants on earth. But he would not have understood God's greater plans for him in the heavens. Now, Abraham and Sarah has reached the age of 100, when their natural abilities to bear children is dead. And the time has come for Abraham to bear children. So 3 angels came and told Abraham that they will give birth the following year. So Sarah responded with a laugh of disbelief. This laugh represented the exhaustion of a human optimism. When one has exhausted his human optimism, true faith begins to flourish. So waiting exhausts the human optimism and build faith for miraculous breakthroughs. When our human optimism or positive thinking is fully exhausted, then faith will arise. Human optimism cannot bring about miraculous breakthroughs, which only faith can. So after a number of years, when Isaac had grown up to become a young man, when Abraham had gotten the key to the promise, now God tested Abraham and said to him, "Abraham," and he said, "Here I am." And he said, "Take now your son, your only son whom you love, Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains on which I will tell you." So Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and he split wood for a burnt offering, and arose and went to the place on which God had told him. Here, God wanted to know if Abraham's faith is in Isaac or in him. With all the waiting, Abraham is tested and finally understood that all along Isaac is not the ultimate key to the realization of the promise, but rather it is Abraham's own faith, and it is his inner quality of patience, of waiting, and of faith. For God can use any means to fulfill his promises, as long as Abraham demonstrates faith in him. So waiting tests if our faith lies in people, resources, or in God. That said, how then should we wait? I have suggested a few ideas. While waiting, I seek to understand in greater clarity God's promises for me. I seek to understand in greater clarity what is the key to God's promises for me. I seek to understand how and when the keys will come. I seek to know the signs surrounding that key. I seek to understand how to obtain the key. And that is where I start to possess the key, when I know how to. So waiting is not passive waiting, but it's an active act of seeking to understand in greater clarity God's promises and his keys for me. Next. In waiting, I endeavor to see all things from God's perspective. In so doing, I build faith towards realizing the promise, and that is what Abraham did. In waiting, I run through the circumstances that happened on the day. I run through it, the good things and the bad things, and discover God's divine purposes in every one of them. For all things, good or bad, happen for my benefit, that is to build faith. So when my faith has matured, the keys to the promises will be revealed. God will not make me wait any longer. In waiting, I focus on becoming a blessing to my neighbor while being encouraged by God's promises concerning the future. In waiting, I focus on becoming a blessing to my neighbor today while being encouraged by God's promises concerning the future. So I press on to accomplish my mission today, to serve the people around me. When I'm discouraged, I meditate on the dreams and visions that God has shown me. For they comfort me, for they encourage me, for they move me to press on and to serve the people. Next. In waiting, I learn to entrust myself to God and never to take things into my own hands. In other words, to cast my cares and worries to God, to sense the peace and the assurance within. Abraham and Sarah made a grave mistake by bearing another child, Ishmael, under Hagar. But let us learn to entrust ourselves to God, never to take things into our own hands. Now let us pray. For God alone, O my soul, wait in silence, for my hope is from him. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you, for God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore I will not fear, though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling, I will wait patiently for the salvation of the Lord. This is taken from Psalms and Lamentations. Let us stand and let us make this declaration. For God alone, O my soul, wait in silence, for my hope is from him. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you. For God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore I will not fear, though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling, I will wait patiently for the salvation of the Lord. Let us have the Holy Communion, and let us sing the song, God Will Make a Way.